Okay, so I finally, people, got round to checking out Morbius. It was on Now TV, so I was like, yo, yeah, I should give this a look, right? It is directed by Daniel Espinosa, written by Matt Sazama and Burk Sharpless. Um, the film is produced by Avid Arad, Lucas Foster, and Matt Tolamash. It is executive produced by Jared Leto, Emma Ludbrook, and Louise Rosner. Associate produced by Pietro Cecilia and Benny Hardiman, and co-produced by Barry St. John. Music was from John Ekstrand. Oliver Wood handled the cinematography. It is edited by Pietro Scacilia as well. Nina Gold did the casting. Production design is Stefanina Silla. Art direction and everything was Victor Capocchia, Nigel Evans, James Lewis, Jason Perini, Aja K. Rowley, and Remo Tozzi. Set decoration is Tina Jones and Madeline Ferreza. Cindy Evans handled the costume design. Yeah, and our cast. Let's get to let's get to that, shall we? Well, in our main role, people, we have got Jared Leto as Dr. Michael Morbius. Matt Smith is his friend and fellow sickie, Milo, right? Yeah, I don't really believe we got a surname. Adria Ajono is Martine Bancroft, who is a colleague, friend, love interest of Michael Morbius. Dr. Emil Nicholas, played by Jared Harris, is Morbius's mentor, and he is Milo's doctor. Tyrese Gibson is Agent Simon Strood, and Al Madrigal is Agent Rodriguez. We've got Charlie Shutwell as a young Morbius and Joseph Eason as a young Milo. Yeah, I mean, that's the main cast essentially, right? Joanna Burnett plays Kristen Sutton, a nurse, who, yeah, I mean, she's plays a part, let's say. Yeah, I think that's probably, as I said, the main cast. And the story is this: dangerously ill with a rare blood disorder and determined to save others suffering his same fate, Dr. Michael Morbius attempts a desperate gamble. What at first appears to be a radical success soon reveals itself to be a remedy potentially worse than the disease. Dum 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 dum. So, I mean, this film It's boy, I didn't necessarily vibe with it, but I kind of feel it it felt to me like Venom, like the original Venom. I haven't seen the second one. Um, but it felt like that, right? A little bit all over the place. We had some good and like Venom, right? Had some good special effects, you know? Some of the effects not so good. Like the flying, mm, not the best. And not really explained either, right? Then like the jumping, because they just made it like this blur. So it was kind of like, eh, we're just watching blur, you know, which was all a bit, I don't know, just didn't didn't do anything for me. But seeing how some of the powers, like the effects to to generate um like the echo location, and that wasn't too bad. That was pretty decent, you know. And just the face transformations and stuff like that. It was decent, right? It was handled well. Uh, but yeah, the story's mad predictable. It's so like exactly what's going to happen, but there's all of these bits that just no sense. Make no sense, right? There's a bit at the very beginning in a flashback when Milo's a kid and Morbius has sent him a letter, right? And the letter goes out the window. Now, these kids are kind of basically bedridden. They can't move that well. But we have him like get down to the stairs and get outside, and you're just like, firstly, the time he probably would take him to get outside, those kids would have been gone. Secondly, how the fuck is he getting outside? Like can't move faster than a tortoise. So how the fuck is he getting outside with no one being like, yo, where you going, son? It's just so many stupid things like that. There's a bit where Morbius has used his powers, shot up some stairs. All right, shot up some stairs. And then Tyrese's character, the police dude, he's basically on the roof just a few seconds later. And it's just like, how the fuck would he get up the roof that quickly? There was no lift, right? So he would have had to run up the stairs. He's not getting up those stairs that quickly. It's just like, wait, what are we doing here? So there's so many goofy things in there. And that's just not like just a script. Just a script and some of these things that we have characters do, which you kind of scratch your head, right? It opens up. So it opens up with this bit, and then we kind of go back in time, right? So they're in, I think it's Costa Rica, and they're at this cave, like this, helicopters drop Morbius down. He's at a cave. There's all bats in there. We see him slice his wrist, hold his hand up to attract the bats, which, I mean, you wouldn't have to do that. It's just like, I mean, and also, you could have just pricked your finger with a needle. Like, you don't have to slice your palm with a knife, right? That's gonna just take forever to heal because you're always opening, closing, you're moving your hand so much. It was just like, out of all the places, why would you do there? And as I said, if you really just prick your finger, but could have brought a vial of blood. He could have. There's so many other things, but the scene made no sense, right? Because then he gets back and he's like, right, I'm gonna take I brought some bats home with me, and I'm gonna do this to get this, and blah 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 blah. So just that whole bit, pointless. It was it just made no sense because you could have been like, oh, is this how he's getting his powers? No, that's not how he got his powers. So just the scene itself, I don't know what the fuck that was meant to be. Right? It was ludicrous. It was stupid. It was so dumb. So dumb. But that is this film. Like, there's a lot of things going on, and a lot of those things have no real relevance to anything. Right? Like, it just there's a lot of shit that makes no sense. Right? So we have him get these powers, and the whole thing that had to be done, right? He had to get strapped down to a chair. Someone put all of these things on him, and inject this serum into himself, which I mean, listen, we see him do a test on a rat, right? But that was it. Then there was no kind of monitoring the rat to see, is it okay? What are the results? Blah, blah, blah. It was then straight, all right, now me. And it's just like, what are we doing here? Like, you could maybe, right? You could maybe think, well, he's ill and he wants to get the cure. But, right, Bancroft, she's, you know, in the film, she's like, "Oh, are you sure you want to do it?" Like, blah, 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 blah. And not once is she like, shouldn't we check the results? Should we not try this? Like, there's nothing. There's nothing. Right. So we have all of that. Now, later in the film, when Milo turns up at the prison, because firstly, after their last interaction, it would be, why would Milo come? But the other thing being, because yes, Milo has used the serum, which it's not really it's no spoiler. But this is the crazy thing, right? So when Morbius did it, there was all these things had to be done. Now, none of the nurses, researchers would have definitely, they're not helping Milo. So how the fuck did Milo do it? Right? How did he know what was serum and what was, random bullshit? Like, these are the things. It's like, how did he know where to inject himself? How to inject himself? So many questions, right? That just made that whole bit made no sense. Made no sense. Also, right? We see Morbius have to do, it took a minute to kind of get how to use his powers. So it's just like, how did Milo learn how to use the powers? And it seemed to know more about the powers than Morbius knew, right? It was just like, how would that work? Right? How would that be a thing? Right? It was just goofy. It was so good, like, it just didn't make any sense. Right? There's a bit when the FBI are trailing Bancroft, and firstly, she knows they're following her, and then she loses them. And you're just like, it's not like everyone has training on how to lose a tech. Like, it shouldn't be that easy to lose a tail. Right? It's always made that the police are so dumb. And it's just like, yeah, I'm not saying they're all rocket scientists, but are we really saying, every time you can do this? Like, it's just some stupidness, right? It just didn't make any sense. The whole relationship between Morbius and the bats, right? Because if they both took this serum, they both have a relationship with the bat, surely, right? It's just there's these things that could have been better clarified, right? Given a reasoning for, well, it's because he was the first, maybe, and that, so the bats are, and just something. There's something. Otherwise, it's just like this is some random ass shit. Like, what are we doing here? And here's the thing. Look, you want to get big time actors to be in these roles. It's all golden, man. It's all golden. We get that, right? It helps with, trying to get eyes on the film and all of that kind of jazz. But if you want us to believe something, make them go through a transformation. Because, like, to say, Leto and Smith are ill, right? At the start, they're supposedly really ill and dying. Didn't really look like they were ill and dying, right? They made their skin slightly whitish, right? That was kind of it. That was kind of it. Like, no lesions, no, right? If you want to think ill, I mean, there's fucking I forget homie's name. Christian Bale, right? Christian Bale in the mechanic, the machinist, right? That was some ill shit. He looked fucked up. And Matthew McConaughey, Dallas Buyers Club, right? Even Tom Hanks in Philadelphia looked iller than Smith and Leto, right? It's just make them look ill. You know what I mean? Make them look ill because you have the bit in the film where they become better. So it's just like, if you really want to be, oh yes, we need to have them look a certain way to go, you'll have that later. But at the beginning, at least make them look ill. Just yeah, there's just so many stupid, frustrating parts of this film. There's two cutscenes at the end, right? In the credits, all of that jam, right? Just I mean, the first one, ugh. The last one, it seems that we're gonna get a Sinister Six, right? Which you kind of see with with the films that are getting made, right? Because what they're gonna do a Craven the Hunter, so you can imagine he would join. I don't think Madam Web would be, but I mean, there's other ones, right? There's the Luchador one with Bad Bunny, isn't it? I think. So yeah, if it feels like they're building a Sinister Six, and a certain character is there, Nick Fury, right? Remember at the end of like Iron Man, and there was these films, and Fury would show up and be like, "Hey, I'm putting together a team," right? So we got something like that happen, but it was just I don't know, man. It didn't carry the same punch. Didn't carry the same punch. But you'd also kind of think, why would Morbius do that? Right? Why would Morbius do that? It was just like, yeah, it didn't make any sense. He's got with all of these powers, supposedly he's got. The fact that he wouldn't know this one thing that happens at the end, you kind of have to scratch your head at. Right? It's just like, wait, hold on. How would he not know? And the other thing with it as well, if everyone would think this person is dead, right? Surely the body would be in a morgue, right? Not obviously where the body is when we see it. So yeah, this film is kind of goofy, man. It's kind of goofy. But as I said, I think if you enjoyed Venom, this will work for you. I hated Venom. Uh, I ain't Venom, man. It was so shit. That's why I haven't watched Venom 2 yet. And I don't think I will. But yeah. Morbius. I don't know, man. I do not know. But yeah, if Venom, that's the kind of barometer, I think. So yeah, if you jammed with Venom, you'll probably like this. But if you hated Venom, I don't know if you'll like Morbius. But yeah, just my thoughts, baby. Just my thoughts.